I am Kelly. I'm the nutritional health coach here at Total Care Chiropractic, and I'm going to be going through your SnapLean orientation today. So for your orientation, you should have some paperwork in front of you, and we're going to start with that. We're going to get some of the boring stuff out of the way first before we get into the meat of your program. So the paperwork that you should have is your SnapLean guide. You should have your declaration. You should have a release, a cancellation policy, and then you should have 2 stress inventories. One has about 43 items listed on it, and the other one is a laminated copy that says find your ACEs score. At any time during this orientation video, please feel free to pause as you need to either get organized, if you need to read some of the paperwork, or simply just need to catch up and think about something. Please feel free to pause at any time. But we're going to go through the paperwork now, starting with the declaration. So what the declaration states is that you're in full understanding of the program that you purchased with us and what all that includes. That's the first line item. The second item is that you will agree to follow the guidelines that we discuss here today. The next line item to initial states that once you've started the program, we do not offer refunds from our office, and that we cannot guarantee results. Of course, if you follow the guidelines that are laid out in the program and the advice from either me or Dr. Gearhart, that you can of course expect to lose weight, but of course we can't guarantee that. And then the last item on this declaration states that you're choosing to do this by your own free will. No one's forcing you, that you chose to do this, and you're excited to get started. So that is your declaration. The next piece of paperwork is your release. The release is for us to take your picture. So we take pictures before and after each program because it's really hard to see some of our results sometimes, or to see them within ourselves. And so we like to do a before and after picture so you can see your amazing transformation for yourself. But also this release is if you want us to use those photos to help other people along their journey. And we have a scrolling picture in the office. I don't know if you've seen it, by our treatment rooms of some of our amazing patients and their transformation. So if you want to be part of that Hall of Fame reel, then give this a sign, and we'll take your photo today, and it will be featured after you finish your program. The next paperwork is our cancellation policy. Our cancellation policy simply states that we understand that things happen from time to time, but if you can give us a 24-hour notice if you need to cancel your appointment, that would be fantastic. If you are going to be late for your appointment, if you could just give us a call and a heads up, because if you're more than 15 minutes late, there is a possibility we might not be able to see you that day, and that would forego your appointment for that week. So if you could either give us a 24-hour notice or a heads up if you're running a little bit behind. As I said, we do understand things happen, but if we don't hear from you, then it would be considered a no-show to your appointment. Okay, and so the next one is the stress inventory that has 43 line items. So when I do programs here in the office, I do have a background in psychology, and I am a firm believer in the mind-body connection, that a lot of the things that present within our health are due to stress that we're holding on to. So this first stress inventory measures your current level of stress. So if you look at these 43 items, and mark on there anything that has happened in the last 12 months. And then there is a value associated with all of those. So anything that's happened in the last 12 months, at the bottom there is a total. Just total up, add up everything, every value that is associated with an event that has happened this year. So you can go ahead and pause this video now if you want to read through these. And if you need a calculator, if we haven't provided you with one so far, just let us know. I am one of those people that does not do math in my head, so feel free to utilize a calculator to find your total. The next stress inventory that we have is this laminated copy here. Now this is stress from before the age of 18, so in your childhood. So there are many theories that are based on anything that happens during our childhood. We hold on to that stress through our adulthood because we hadn't developed the coping mechanisms yet in our childhood to be able to process some of those stressful events. So there are really challenging questions on here. There's only 10, but they can be very heavy. So I just like to let people know that before you read through them. You can just take a deep breath and take your time. The only thing that we need to know from here, or we would like to know, you of course have the option not to answer these questions whatsoever, but the only thing that we would need to know is just how many you answer yes to. So your answer can't be less than 0 and it can't be more than 10. So if you want to go ahead and pause the video now to read through these items, and then once you are finished, you can actually just write how many you answered yes to in the corner of your other stress inventory. Okay, so paperwork is over with. So now we can get into your program details. You should have in front of you the Snapling guide, as well as 3 bottles that look like this. One should be pink, one should be green, and one should be blue. So those are the supplements that you will be taking during the 8 weeks of your Snapling program. And the way that you take these are the pink and the green bottle. You will do 3 full droppers into 32 ounces of water. So the way that you fill this dropper up, this is the only tricky part. They're very simple to take, but there's one little trick. Is if you can see here on the dropper, it doesn't go all the way to the top. It stops about right there. That is considered a full dropper. So you do 3 of these of the pink bottle and 3 just like that in the green bottle go into the same 32 ounce container of water. And you drink that throughout the day. You don't have to take that at a specific time. You don't have to finish it by a specific time. I always suggest starting in the morning just so that you have that prepared and ready for the day, and then you can sip on those 32 ounces throughout the rest of the day. Now the blue bottle, the metabolic support, that you take twice a day, and you do that in 8 ounces of water, and you just do 1 dropper. So the dark blue bottle that is metabolic support, you will do 1 dropper full. So once again, it only fills up to about here. You do 1 of those into 8 ounces of water twice a day. If you have any questions about how to take your supplements, please let us know. And we will be more than happy to answer those questions because that is very important for your program to work. So the next thing we're going to talk about is we are going to go over the don'ts. Oh, and with the supplements, if you have any questions, as I said, please give us a call or you can ask us here during your appointment. But while you're at home, please hold on to this because this is going to be all of your guidelines for your entire program, and how to take the supplements is up here in the right-hand corner. The next part that we're going to discuss, though, are the program don'ts, which are on the left-hand side here. So the first item says don't eat past 7 p.m. I know with some people's work schedules, this does not allow time for dinner. So my suggestion is that you just don't eat past dinner. If you have a work schedule where you work a little bit later, please still eat dinner. We don't want you skipping meals during this program, but just don't eat after that. What this is designed, or what this guideline is designed for, is to avoid that like late night evening snacking. So once you've eaten your dinner, just don't eat past that point. As far as the food groups go that you will stay away from within the first 8 weeks of this program are processed foods. So processed foods are not only fast food, but things from boxes and bags. So think chips, popcorns, cookies, anything that you can buy from the store that is already pre-packaged is really processed. The next item are sugary foods. So of course that's your candies, your cookies, your cakes, your donuts, and anything like pastry related, baked goods, all fall under that sugary foods category. So the next 3 or 4 items can be a little tricky and a little confusing for some people. So I'd like to explain a little bit in more detail about those, because the next 3 or 4 items are actually really healthy foods. And the reason why we're removing them for 8 weeks is because this program is really focused on balancing your blood sugars and healing your digestion. And so to be able to achieve that, even some really healthy foods, if our blood sugars are unstabilized or our digestion is a little compromised, they have a hard time processing. So that's what the next 4 items that we're going to review are really all about. That's why we're removing them for this set period of time. So the first one are grains and starches. So these are things like wheat products, rices, pastas, we have cereals, oatmeals, granola bars, corn, anything that is a whole grain. Even though that can be healthy and we're told to eat healthy grains all the time, that they can be really hard on our digestive tract. And again, they can throw our blood sugars all out of whack, which is what we're trying to stabilize here. If you have any questions in regards to any of these, please just let a member of our staff know and we will be happy to explain in further detail. The next item, similarly, it's healthy, but we're just avoiding it for 8 weeks, is fruit. So fruit is so healthy, and we will add that back in, and we want you to enjoy fruit outside of berries and strawberries, which you can have on the program. You can have any kind of berry, but all the other fruits we're taking out for 8 weeks. Again, that's because of the glycemic index. We're trying to stabilize your blood sugars so that you can heal your body from the inside out, and then that will also result in some weight loss for you. Next would be beans and legumes. So beans are also starches, and while they can be healthy at times, we're taking those out just to stabilize those blood sugars. And one thing that people don't realize is that peanuts are actually a legume. So no peanuts or peanut butter on this plan for the next 8 weeks, but other than that, other nuts are included, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Just no peanuts, no peanut butter, and no beans or lentils. And then next, another starch that we were pointing out here are potatoes and sweet potatoes. So while they can be healthy at times, they can be high in potassium. We're just taking them out for 8 weeks. All right, so next items are low-fat diet products. So this can be confusing for some people as well, especially if you've been trying to lose weight for a little while. You might have had some low-fat, you've probably tried low-fat products before. The tricky thing about them is that they're full of sugar. So to make them taste good, they took the fat out and they replaced it with sugar. So low-fat products can actually contribute to you gaining more weight. So we're going to take those out of the diet, and a lot of times they have a lot of processed artificial sweeteners in there or can be really processed items. So we're taking that out to, once again, heal the body from the inside out and detox it. Condiments, dressings, sauces that contain sugar. So we're looking for any sort of dressing or condiment that does not have sugar in it. We will send you a list of some that are approved on this plan, so you don't have to be looking at every single bottle at the grocery store. So don't worry, we'll give you some tips on that, and that will be coming your way. Unhealthy fats. So this diet focuses a lot on healthy fats, but we wanted to point out the unhealthy fats to avoid. So the unhealthy fats that we're avoiding are things like canola oil and vegetable oil and mayonnaise. So canola oil and vegetable oil, while they can be low in calorie, they are highly processed and can actually cause some free radical damage in our body and some oxidative stress. So once again, to keep our bodies really good and healthy, we're looking for things that are minimally or unprocessed. And we'll talk about those when we talk about healthy fats. Last two items here are alcohol. So no alcohol for 8 weeks can be very inflammatory to our body and can also throw our blood sugars and our digestion off. So for 8 weeks, we're removing alcohol from the diet, and we're also removing sugar-free diet foods. That goes back to the processed foods, also goes back to those low-fat diet products. Sugar-free diet foods typically have an artificial sweetener in it called aspartame, and aspartame actually gets converted into formaldehyde in our body, so it can do some really, really bad damage. So we want to avoid things that are sugar-free diet foods that have all those artificial sweeteners in there. If you have any questions at this point, you can feel free to pause the video and ask. If not, we're going to go on to the do's, the fun part, what you can eat on this program. So the things that we do want you doing, we want you drinking at least 80 ounces of water a day, a minimum of 80 ounces. So if you do not have some sort of container that has measurements on it, or that you know how many ounces are in a certain water bottle, then I would encourage you to jump on Amazon or maybe even check out the dollar store and grab a water bottle so you can track how much you're drinking every day. Next, we want you active. This program is about being healthy in all different areas of your life. So if you can exercise at least 20 to 30 minutes a day, that even includes just taking a walk, a 30-minute walk after dinner. And you can break this up. If you want to do 15 minutes on your lunch break and 15 minutes after dinner when you get home, that's perfect. Just staying active is really, really important. If you're working from home right now, I know it can be difficult trying to break away from your desk. So if you have stairs in your house, walk the stairs. Do that a few times a day. Walk in place at your desk. You can do some squats or some calf raises. We'll email you some videos, short 7-minute workout videos of things that you can do at home, because I know during this time of COVID that it can be a little bit harder with gyms being closed, but as long as you're staying active, we are more than happy, whatever form that looks like for you. All right, some good news about this plan is you can still eat at restaurants. So there are some tips there at that third bullet point of what to order when you go out to a restaurant, or if you're, I guess, ordering from a restaurant at this time. But there's some suggestions there on that bullet point, that third bullet point. And then now we're going to go through each different food group. And again, if you have any questions, just feel free to stop the video and write those down or ask away. So the first one is meat, any and all meat. If you are a meat eater, this is great. You can have any form of meat. We do suggest to look at some of the ingredients and find things, of course, that are minimally processed. So if you're eating deli meat, I suggest getting it from the deli counter. They do have the grab and go options as well, but the only deli meats that I suggest not having are things that have sugar in it, like a honey baked ham or like a maple or honey turkey. that sort of thing, because it is pretty high in sugar, I would suggest choosing a different option as far as lunch meats go. I also suggest staying away from things like salamis and pepperonis, simply because they are so processed and can cause a lot of GI distress for some people, and they don't realize it. So if we can take that out for a few weeks and maybe add it in later during the program, we can find out how your body responds to that food in particular. Other than that, any meat is great. We want the portion to be about the size of the palm of your hand. Next, if you like seafood, suggest wild caught. I know that being in a landlocked state, that sometimes that can be hard to find. They do also sell in the frozen section. If you shop at Kroger, I know in the frozen section near the seafood department, they do have individually packed wild caught salmon and some other seafood as well. So if they don't have it fresh, look for frozen, and they typically will have a wild caught option. You can have eggs. So we are focusing on some really good quality lean proteins here. So eggs are encouraged. If you like breakfast, eggs are a great option on this plan. And you can have small amounts of dairy. So while dairy can cause some people some distress, and if we have not already discussed that together, then feel free to have dairy. If we have discussed that it does cause you some GI issues, then of course we're not going to include that in your plan. But for those who handle dairy really well, small amounts. So we're starting with about 1/4 a cup a day with cheese, because cheese can cause some people, as I said, some digestive distress, and we're trying to monitor that. You can also have things like an organic grass-fed butter, ghee, which if you are lactose sensitive, ghee would be your option for butter. It is actual butter that they remove the milk solids from to make it okay for people who do have a sensitivity to dairy. You can have small amounts of cream as well if you're making a dish that requires that. Other healthy fats. So we talked about the oils and the fats not to use, but the ones that we would love for you to cook with during this or on this plan are extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, and avocado oil. Avocado oil is going to be your high heat cooking oil. So if you are baking or roasting anything above 375, then I would use avocado oil in that case, because it has a higher smoke point. If you are cooking something at 350, 375 or below, olive oil and coconut oil will be your best options then. You can have avocados. So if you like avocados, then this is going to be great for you, because you can have them whole, you can make fresh guacamole, you can use them smashed up to dip veggies in. There's lots of great options there for avocado lovers. As far as fruit goes, we discussed earlier that you can have berries, any and all berries on this plan. You can also have lemons and limes to season your food, or to also put in your water. Lemon water is great for you, so feel free to spice up your water. In addition to just strawberries, blueberries, blackberries that most people are familiar with, and raspberries, you can also have things like goji berries, as long as they don't have sugar added to them, and mulberries, which you can find typically in the dried fruit section. Just make sure they do not have any sort of sweetener or sugar added to them. But if you're wanting something kind of chewy, almost like a gummy, those are great options for snacks. All right, you can have an unlimited amount of vegetables. So all my vegetable lovers, this is gonna be awesome. If you don't like vegetables, then we're gonna explore some options and help you get and try new foods. The only ones that we're limiting are carrots to about 1/4 a cup a day, simply because they have a higher glycemic index. All right, nuts and seeds. So there's a list there of the nuts and seeds that are approved on this plan. In addition, you can also have things like chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds. They are great to spice up your salads, also just to have for snacking. So it says a handful. This is one that I'm comfortable being a little bit more lenient on. If you feel like you are really hungry, you're wanting a salty snack, I would so much rather you grab a second handful of almonds than to dive into some chips. So please feel free, especially in the beginning, if you're experiencing any hunger or cravings for some foods that we've removed, you can grab that second handful if it's something like a salty snack that you're wanting. That would be a great replacement. If you're wanting something sweet, then of course some more berries are going to be probably your go-to there. There's a list there of next of some condiments and spices that you can use on this plan. And as I mentioned before, we're going to email you an example of how to get started, an example meal guide, and it will have some brands of condiments that are approved on this plan. Beverages, so you can have coffee and unsweetened tea, sparkling waters that are unsweetened. Bone broth is great, so anyone that has some digestive distress, bone broth is very healing for the gut, and you can find that in the aisle with like chicken broths and things of that nature at the grocery store. You can have unsweetened coconut milk and almond milk on this plan as well. So things that to be mindful of that we are taking away from that beverages column is there are no sodas. So we did not go over that in the don'ts, but while we're on the topic of beverages, if you are a soft drink fan, if you drink soda, then that is something that we will be taking out. A great alternative for this plan, if you are craving a soft drink, there's a brand called Zevia. It's Zevia, and that's the brand name. They do have off brands at grocery stores, at local grocery stores. So check that out. It is sparkling water that is flavored like soda and sweetened with stevia instead of sugar, because your sweetener option that you can have on this plan is stevia. So if you need to sweeten anything that you are making, you can use granulated, powdered, or liquid stevia. My personal preference are the liquid drops, and that's found in the baking aisle. But if you are a soft drink lover, then I would suggest checking out that Zevia brand and seeing if it might work for you. And then the last thing here are just some other snack items that you can have, and they are free items. You can have as many of these as you want. Dill pickles and olives and sauerkraut. That's just ways to spice up some of your recipes or have some other options for snacking. So if you have any questions in regards to what we've discussed here, please let us know. But that completes your orientation. So either myself or Dr. Gerhardt are going to be coming in here shortly and seeing if you have any questions before you are on your way to 8 weeks of a life transformation that we are just so excited to be a part of. So thank you so much, and we can't wait for you to get started.